I've had a lot of people contact me telling me that they're going to get the new rangefinder GFX 50R Fujifilm medium format camera, and I get a lot of emails recently ever since the announcement about which lens to get. I did not bring out the 120mm f4. I have that lens also. That lens is, unless you're doing macro, that lens is no. It's absolutely huge, it's insanely expensive, and outside of macro product photography, obviously so, no. And especially so on the relatively small rangefinder camera. That would be way too forward heavy. Would not even consider it, however, for the rangefinder. Now there is a 50mm lens coming out, which is an equivalent of a 40mm field of view. You take each one of the focal lengths on the GFX lenses and you multiply it times 0.78. So which would be one lens? Here's the question. Obviously, you need to know, if you're only going to get one lens for the Gfxr, which would it be? But then, of course, we have to ask the question, what is it that you plan on shooting or using it for? Is it going to be landscape or architecture or portraiture? Regardless of what it is, and there's only one lens that I could say that about, between, this is the 45mm 2.8, and this is the lens that everybody's considering because, well, it's nice and small. They showed actually copies of the new 50mm lens that's coming out the beginning of 2019, and it's about half as big as this, which is amazing. So it's a pancake lens that's basically a 40mm equivalent for the GFX series, since we have 3 GFX cameras now. The GFX 50S, the GFX 50R, coming out sometime mid-November roughly, and of course the 100-megapixel GFX sometime next year, 2019. Undeniably, if I could get rid of any of these lenses, any of them, it would definitely be the 63mm. No. Why? No. No. Just no. No. Is it bad? No. No. But no. No to the 63mm. It's like, well, this is kind of the perfect size. You know, I want a nice compact lens for my rangefinder Gfxr, and this is the most compact lens until the pancake lens comes out. That's understandable, but no. Did I make that clear enough? No. God, that'd be the first lens I get rid of. This, oddly enough, the last lens that I got for the GFX series, the 45mm 2.8, is their best lens. It's absolutely incredible. Undeniably incredible. Actually, and I said this at the time that I reviewed the lens. I thought, well, you know, I don't know if I want this. And it's a 35mm field of view equivalent. This lens is unbelievable. Unbelievable. 10 finest lenses I've ever tested or owned. Top 10 finest lenses. It's actually somewhere probably number 6. I think it might be somewhere, well, actually, I don't know if it's top 5 or not. But absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. 45mm f2.8. If you're just going to get one lens for your rangefinder, basically every professional photographer throughout history has been asked basically the same questions. Like, if you could have just one lens glued onto your camera for the rest of your life on a desert island, what would it be? And they all say the same thing, basically. It's a 35mm lens of some kind, and that is exactly what this is. It's 35mm Quiv. What's the next best lens? And I know this is kind of huge, and, well, I don't know. It's not much bigger than a lot of, well, weight-wise, size-wise. Yeah, looking at about 15% bigger than like a 135mm f2 DC Nikkor full frame lens. Anyway, this is a 32 to 64. It's basically a 24mm roughly to 50mm. So 32 to 64 f4 GF lens for the GFX series. And this would be my second must-own lens. Now, whether it's a must-own lens obviously depends on what you're shooting. If you're someone that says, hey, I'm getting this rangefinder camera, and all I'm going to do is portraiture, that's understandable. That was my first statement as far as the second lens to get, or the most important lens, would be this. But if it is portraiture, and it is obviously quite large, and it is not cheap, is the 110mm f2. This lens is essentially an 85mm f1.5. Let's just say an 85mm 1.4 Quiv. This is the size of it sitting on the GFX 50S. So obviously this would make it quite front heavy on the GFX 50R rangefinder medium format that's coming out in November of this year, 2018. But it is absolutely phenomenal. It's incredible. This one is also not cheap. Here's the size relative to the 45mm 2.8 and the I absolutely hate it. Well, I don't hate it, but I don't like it. No! This is the 23mm f4 Fujifilm lens. This is an 18mm equiv. This is for architecture, obviously, so landscape. It's incredible. It's mind-blowing. It's crotch-melting. It is all of that and a bag of chips. It is incredible. So, I mean, if you're going to get one lens only, and there is a discount if you buy the GFX 50R with a lens, please God, make it the 45mm. You buy whatever you want. I'm telling you, I own all these lenses, and no. Get the 45mm 2.8. There's no way in hell you're going to be unhappy. So far as what is a secondary lens, it depends on what your primary is. If it's basically everything, then the second lens would be the 32-64. It's incredible. By the way, medium format zooms. I know, like, well, I want ultimate image quality. Medium format is not fast. Medium format is about ultimate image quality. It's like, well, do I really want to zoom for the ultimate image quality camera? And zooms for medium format always have been different, of a different breed than full-frame zoom lenses, which, of course, is, in most cases, worse than a really good prime. 32-64 is incredible. There's not been a single person bitch or chirp against the 32-64 zoom lens for the GFX series. But if you're primarily a portrait photographer, your second lens should certainly be the 110mm f2. Really, no matter what kind of photographer you are, let's boil it down. Definitely have this be your first lens. I could live for the rest of my life with this mounted or permanently glued or epoxied to the front of my GFX 50R rangefinder, which I don't have yet, but I will have in November. If you're a landscape photographer, then the 23mm f4. All of these lenses are incredible. I have tried out the 250mm lens, which is already out. It's $3,300, which is a 180mm field of view equiv. I both don't need it, and I don't, I really don't want it. I just don't. Don't need that kind of focal length for medium format. The wonderful thing about medium format that people fail to realize, and nobody's ever made a video about, and this is the case of whether you're a Phase 1 shooter, a Mamiya shooter, a Leica. There's almost no Leica medium format shooters. Phase 1, Leica, Fujifilm, Mamiya, Pentax 645. Medium format has never needed many lenses. Basically, 95% of all medium format shooters have 3 or 4 lenses at most. Most only have 2 lenses. I got my portrait lens, and I have my normal lens for doing whatever, street, walk-around photography. That is the wonderful thing about medium format, because medium format is expensive, well, relative to 35mm crop sensor, obviously so, but you don't need a pile of damn lenses. Medium format has only ever needed a couple few lenses. Basically, all medium format shooters only need and use 2 or 3 lenses at most. But anyway, there's the lowdown, and this is the answer right here. You see, 45mm f2.8. Oh my God. Thank you so much for watching, and happy holidays.